All right, so let's do this as fast as we possibly can. Caleb Williams, I don't want you guys to overthink this at number one. Caleb Williams is the Joe Burrow of this class. Now, yes, just like the Joe Burrow draft class, I believe there are some other elite QB prospects we're getting into, so don't worry. My Chicago Bears, though, let's not overthink this. First ballot, Hall of Fame talent, Caleb Williams. This dude is a top 10 prospect of all time. It's not even close. I don't want to hear the shit about him painting his nails. Dude could deep throw a fucking 9-inch cock off the field for all I care. If he's winning me a Super Bowl on his rookie contract, yeah, I'ma chill with that. Moving on. My second best quarterback in the class is Jayden Daniels. I believe Washington agrees with that. They're going to go with him. Drake May is a little too raw for me. It's a little too much projection. I still have Drake May as my QB3. And I think if the board falls this way, I do believe the Patriots would be stupid to do anything other than just draft Drake May. He only follows white quarterbacks on Instagram. I think that's fucking hilarious. He just looks like a Boston quarterback to me. I don't know, just fits. Again, if the board falls this way, which this is my official prediction mock draft with a shit ton of trades, by the way, in it. It's got a good amount of trades. I promise those are coming up. Nothing crazy unrealistic, but definitely some bold moves later on that I think could happen. Specifically, coming up in the top 10 here. Not the Vikings one. We all know where that's happening. Anyways. I think you have to pick Marvin Harrison Jr. here if you're the Cardinals. He's one of my very few purple chip prospects in this class. That just means S tier compared to blue chip prospect, which for me means A tier. Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., dude. This dude does it all. He's insane. I don't want to see the Cardinals do some dumbass shit where they trade down and then trade back up. That worked great last year, and it was a brilliant draft strategy. They got the guy they wanted. They gained more draft capital. Excellently done. Perfectly executed. Loved the Cardinals draft last year. This year, stick and pick. You got pick 4 and you got pick 27. Do we really need more? Guys, Marvin Harrison Jr., you get the purple chip player. Simple. This is where I think the trade's going to happen. And again, I am a Chicago Bears fan, so we're making them give up 3 first-round picks and their third next year. I pray to God this is the real trade. That would be incredible. It doesn't have to be the exact trade details. I know. But I do believe the Vikings will trade up to number 5 for a quarterback named J.J. McCarthy, who will do well in his rookie season the way Mac Jones did for the Patriots, if you remember. That is what I believe will happen with J.J. McCarthy. I believe he'll start off good, possibly win Rookie of the Year over Caleb Williams if Williams struggles more than expected, or if Williams gets injured. I believe J.J. McCarthy's next in line to win Rookie of the Year, actually not Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors, or Rome Odunze for that matter. But I do love all 3 of those receivers. I think the Giants at 6, like the Giants are a team that I could see trying to move up to 3 and get Drake May if he's there, or Jayden Daniels, depends which they like more. But if the Giants stay still and they're at 6, and I think they will because I think the Giants are going quarterback next year heavy, they're going to start doing kind of what the Bears did. Get that elite receiver, get that DJ Moore, build up for the actual quarterback and make the fans kind of pretend with the management like, oh yeah, we're totally going with this guy. It's like, no, we're not. Justin Fields is a bust. We all knew it the second he got drafted, to be honest. But Malik Neighbors for the Giants, I think, is a great pick. And then 7, if Joe Alt's there for the Titans, again, he's one of my purple chip prospects. I won't lie to you. He is one of the guys I'm very high on. So you got to go with Joe Alt there. Here's the crazy trade of the draft, guys. I believe that the Buffalo Bills are going to trade up from pick 28 all the way 20 spots higher to jump in front of the Chicago Bears, who, if Rome Odunze was there, the Bears at 9 will stick and pick at 9 Rome Odunze, and that is the right decision. But in my honest prediction draft, I don't believe Rome Odunze will be there, and this is what I believe the Bears should do in response to that if the Bills are uber aggressive in making a move for a player like Rome Odunze, who I know I'm really high on, and I hope the Bears would be really high on too. We need a receiver with his height, and Keenan Allen, even though he's only going to be here 2 years or so, he's more of a slot receiver, does most of his damage in the slot anyways. Rome Odunze can play on the outside, and then DJ Moore, and then the other receiver the Bears have, I think his name is either Scott or something. I don't know. He's like a really small, shifty slot guy. So again, we don't need slot guys. Rome Odunze would be a perfect thing, but I believe the Bills are going to have to pay a heavy price, guys. They have 2 second-round picks next year. But I believe they're giving up pick 28, pick 60, probably like pick 160, 133, like some random middle round stuff. And then they're definitely giving up their first next year. And I think they're giving up one of the seconds next year. I'm going to say they give up Minnesota's second next year and maybe their fourth next year. Something of that nature. Not exactly, but I believe it's going to be a very heavy price to pay up and get Rome Odunze. But I think it's well worth it. Especially if Rome Odunze is as good as I think he is. Oh my god, he's going to be insane. Okay, moving on to the Bears now. I believe the Bears will trade down if Rome Odunze is not available. I'm not as high on the edges in this class as other people are, and none of us know how the actual NFL views these prospects, by the way, like the GMs, how they look at these guys. We don't know the injury reports on Laiatu Latu. We don't know the projections that some teams have on Dallas Turner. We don't know how negatively they view like a Dallas Turner's run defense. We don't know that yet, right? But I'm lower on the edges, and I'm higher on the interior D linemen of this class. So I believe that the Bears are going to trade down. They're not going to reach on any of the edges or interior D linemen. They're going to trade down a few spots with, it could be the Colts, but I think it'll be the Saints. So I'm going to have the Saints propose a trade to the Bears where they trade up. They're going to give up pick 45, which is their second round pick. The Bears don't have a second round pick. This is why I think the Saints are the perfect trade partner. They trade up a few spots, give up pick 45, maybe a fifth or a fourth next year, something like that for pick 9. And obviously we could do a pick swap or whatever, but I just want this to be accepted. Something like that. And I believe the Saints, genius move, by the way. He's my second best offensive tackle in the class. I believe he's 21 years old. I don't even know if it says it here. I don't see it, but Olu Fashanu, very young player, excellent pass blocker. I really think the Saints need an elite tackle. I don't think Joe Alt's a possibility, but I think they can trade up in front of the Jets, who I don't think will draft tackle. But especially if Alt and Fashanu aren't there, I believe the Jets are just going to go Brock Bowers here. Just makes perfect sense. And again, one of my best defenders in the class, you guys. I'm going to have the Chargers take him here. It's Quinion Mitchell. Dude is a freaking monster. He's by far my best corner in the class. My actual second best secondary player, even though I think he can play outside corner, a little bit of nickel, and he plays safety, obviously, Cooper DeJean. Obviously, you gotta be careful with the skin color. Lost track of what I was saying there. We're gonna move on because I'm so hot. I'm gonna turn it down. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I'm wearing this because it was really cold in here, I swear. But this is my lock of the draft. This is the weirdest lock of the draft. It's such a bold prediction. But I believe that the Broncos will trade down with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really do. I don't know what they're going to have to give up. I hate having to deal with shit like this. Yeah, whatever. They move up, but they are going to get who I think is really high on the Steelers draft board, Talise Fuagu, who's an excellent run blocker. He's much better at run blocking. He goes forward a lot better if you watch his tape. He's one of those guys who just moves forward and he moves well. And that's exactly what the Steelers are, man. That's the type of mentality. That's the type of player. The type of mindset. I believe that they are going to trade up. That's my lock of the draft, is that the Steelers will trade up to draft Talise Fuagu. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. And then I know what the Raiders value, and I know what they need. They're not getting quarterback this early. You sign Gardner Minshew for... Oh my god, I cannot talk right now. I'm so sorry, guys. You signed Gardner Minshew for... Oh my god! You signed Gardner Minshew for a 2-year, $25 million contract, which is basically a 1-year deal. You're going to be okay with maybe drafting like a Michael Penix Jr. in the second round, I believe the Raiders will do. But in the first round, and I think this is a great move, I think they're going to go with monster size Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. I think that is exactly what they want, and they would be thrilled with that. Now, this is going to probably surprise people. I know I talked a little bit too much about it earlier. I was getting a little excited. I was geeking out as a Bears fan. I believe this is what the Bears will do. I believe they will trade down, and I believe they will draft their number 1 pass rusher in the class and defensive player overall. He is at the bottom of my S tier. He's my least high purple chip prospect. And it's going to surprise people. It's none of the edges. I'm way too concerned with Latu's injury. Dallas Turner just does not have enough current, for me. And I worry about his run defense and his size over time. And Jared Verse worries me in the sense of he's just a musclehead who won't be coachable. Now, that's all the negatives. There's positives about those players too. They're very excellent players. They do deserve to be drafted very high in the draft. In the first round, I believe all the edges will be drafted in the first round even, and deservedly so. I just think they're a little overrated when people are like, Dallas Turner's a guaranteed top 10 pick. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a young guy who projects well at the next level, but we don't really know yet, right? There's been better edges that have busted. Let's be honest. So my number one pass rusher, defensive, quarterback disruptor, not even pass rusher, I should say quarterback disruptor and run disruptor and general, backfield disruptor is this man right here. Byron Murphy. I am fucking so high on him. And if the Bears can't get Rome Odunze at 9, my dream scenario is trading back, getting a second round pick from the Saints or something, and we can draft receiver with that second round pick, and then getting Byron freaking Murphy trading down. That is my dream scenario. So this would be heaven for me as a Bears fan so far, this draft. The Vikings traded a king's ransom to get a possible quarterback bust, in my opinion at least. And I think the Bills, they traded a lot too, but I think their trade was more like the Julio Jones trade. I think it's a good trade. I think it's yeah, this player's worth it. Josh Allen throwing a Rome Odunze, sign me up in fantasy football. I am salivating right now. That's the type of move I view that as. I wanted this to be a quicker mock draft, but the more I'm looking at the players, the more I want to talk about them at least a little bit and explain my pick, because I know some of these picks are kind of against consensus. I think the Steelers trading up for Fuagu probably isn't predicted too often. I don't watch other mock drafts, so I'm not sure, but I have seen some scouting reports on just in general the top. What I do is I look at the scouting reports for about the top 50 players, the consensus top 50, because I'm not a huge college football fan. I don't watch a lot of collegiate football. I do not enjoy it. But I like watching tape on players when I can actually access it. That's a fun thing I do in my free time. I work a security job, Securitas, so I have a lot of time in the guard shack kind of alone. So I do have a lot of time. Oh my god. I do have a lot of time to film study and have time to really think about things like this, which is why I put a lot of thought into these exact trades and these exact players being drafted. I genuinely believe this is what is predictively going to happen. And I have another kind of out there crazy prediction that some people might not like. I think the Colts are gonna, at 15, not get a Brian Thomas Jr. I don't think they improve their offense. I think they go secondary, and I think they go with the versatility, and they value the versatility of a Cooper DeJean when Quinion Mitchell's obviously off the board. Of a Cooper DeJean, I think they like that better than Terrion Arnold or Nate Wiggins even. I'm not very high on Kool-Aid. I would even maybe consider TJ over Kool-Aid. I've seen Kool-Aid struggle against players who I think will be mid-tier at the NFL level. He's the second Alabama corner. So there's a lot of negatives for it, with me at least. But I digress. It's not who we're talking about right now. Obviously, the interior offensive line for the Seahawks, they are saying is their biggest need by far. No linebacker is getting taken in the first round of this draft. And the best D tackle's off the board already, along with the best corner and other second best secondary player. Obviously, you go O-line, you need interior, so Latham, even though he could translate to guard, probably more projectile. I know a lot of people really like Fatanu as a tackle. I don't get how maybe the height and weight is listed incorrectly here. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I would much prefer this be my offensive guard. I think Fatanu has the versatility to play guard or tackle if needed, but I think he will struggle against power rushers on the edge for sure. I just don't think he has the size, and I think he will be much better suited at guard. I like him to the Seahawks at 16 because of the value and the scheme fit. I think Fautanu is a great fit for Seahawks at 16. I think if the board falls like this for the Jags, you have to keep in mind, they signed Gabe Davis, and they have Christian Kirk. And in an elite receiver class, we could go with Brian Thomas here. We could go with Adonai Mitchell. We could even say maybe we're a little higher on Keon Coleman just because of the Pakua Nakua combine drill that Keon Coleman also excelled at, which proved that the 40 time might not be as important as we initially think. So you can consider a few options at receiver here for sure for the Jags. In my honest prediction one I have here on my notes on my phone that I did earlier at work, I have them taking Terrion Arnold, the corner. I do. And I think I'm going to stick with that. You could convince me they would take Nate Wiggins. You could. The RAS, I know that's a big deal for teams like the Bears and for teams like the Jaguars. So you could definitely convince me they would value Nate Wiggins more and draft him. But I'm going to say they go Terrion Arnold. And then I think this is a pretty easy pick as well. I know everyone might want, again, the sexy receiver. This is a pretty deep receiver class, and maybe I'm just not as concerned about it as other people. But I would much rather... I think I can address receiver later, and the Bengals signed, I think, 2 offensive tackles. I think you got to go with the Jerzon Newton, who might even be a better scheme fit for the Bengals than Byron Murphy. Even though I like Byron Murphy more, I think Jerzon Newton might actually be better for the Bengals because Byron Murphy's more of like a power, strength, like bear. Well, which is why I want him on my Chicago Bears, I guess. That's a kind of a fun analogy. And whereas I feel like a Jerzon Newton or a Johnny Newton, I keep calling him Jerzon. I saw Jerzon like one time. I think his name is actually Johnny Newton. I'm sorry, Johnny Newton. And I was like, huh, that's interesting because he doesn't have as much power and like what's the word? Ferociousness? I don't know. He doesn't have that bear in him, if you ask me. I think he is more of kind of like a cat-like animal. He's more agility. He's got that lateral speed. He can do kind of a he can get past guys with his moves rather than his pure strength. I'm kind of explaining it bad. I'm explaining it so awful, but I do think it's gonna be the pick here is Johnny Newton, and I think it's a good pick for them. I really do. And I think if this is how the board falls, the Rams take Dallas Turner. No hesitation here. I think this is where the fallen edges would stop. Yes, yeah, I do. And then I think the Broncos, they acquired some draft capital. I don't know what it'll actually look like. That's a potential idea. And then I think they will draft their quarterback of the future, who Sean Payton is really high on, Bo Nix. Miami Dolphins. I love me some Dolphins, all right? My mom is a Miami Dolphins fan, first and foremost. So that's something. I'm definitely going to put a lot of care into your pick. Now, I've had 2 official prediction mock drafts. In one of them, the Bears don't draft Byron Murphy and the D tackles fall compared to the edges falling. I didn't like that one as much, and I had the Dolphins in that one take Byron Murphy. Great pick for the Dolphins. Obviously, as a purple chip prospect guy on Byron Murphy myself, amazing pick for the Dolphins. Okay. But what I would say for this is you have to look at the interior offensive line. You really do. And Christian Haynes, Cooper Beebe, they're second-round guys. Graham Barton, Jackson Powers-Johnson are going to go late in the first round. It's about where. And to me, this Graham Barton pick is just exactly what the Dolphins need. They lost their guards to Robert Hunt, I think his name was, to Carolina. So you need to replace him, and you need to start building up the offensive line to protect Tua, obviously. Or if you're going to get a new quarterback in there eventually, the new guy, if you don't want to pay Tua, we'll see what happens with that. But, for now, the jury's still out. I think this is kind of like the audition year for Tua Tagovailoa, if you ask me. But we will see. I think Graham Barton's the pick here. Yes, and I think it's a great pick. I really do. I literally, I'll show you guys right now. I have it's a screenshot on my phone. If you want to pause the video and just see all the picks, you can right there. I won't show it too long because we're going through it right now. But this was from earlier, so yeah. Anyways, I think at 22 here, the Eagles would opt to go secondary. I think this, if Cooper DeJean doesn't go to the Colts, I think this is where Cooper DeJean will never, ever get past. Cooper DeJean is a top 22 pick guaranteed, in my opinion. So I think Cooper DeJean's floor is 22 Eagles. I think his ceiling might be 15 Colts. And in my honest prediction, like my heart of hearts, I believe Cooper DeJean goes to the Colts. And I think the Eagles in that scenario would probably, I mean, they could if they were really high on Verse or something, or they ought to. I mean, they could draft their edge of the future now, but obviously secondary's a much more pressing need. Nate Wiggins is a good corner. I wouldn't pass up on it. Earlier in the draft, we took Quinion Mitchell for the Chargers. I think if the receivers fall like this, there's no way you pass on Brian Thomas Jr. and his potential. Just the athleticism, the tools, the traits. I don't think Brian Thomas Jr. is in the same tier as Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, or Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. I prefer Odunze because of personality and character, obviously. You guys prefer Neighbors because of explosiveness after the catch. But Odunze also a little taller. So for me, it's like tier 1, Marvin Harrison Jr., tier 2, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, however order you want them, I don't care. Tier 3 is Brian Thomas Jr., Adonai Mitchell, and maybe... No, I would say Brian Thomas Jr. and Adonai Mitchell are the only ones in the next tier. I would honestly say that. You can make an argument for like Keon Coleman or maybe Ladd McConkey. I like him too. Very explosive. Very surprisingly explosive. But yeah. I think the pick here would be Brian Thomas Jr. if the board falls this way. And yeah. Again, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, I think you're thrilled. I think a prospect like JC Latham being here is the perfect, like, okay, he can place anywhere really on our offensive line. He has that ability. We just have to coach him up in a few areas. Latham needs some coaching, but I think the Cowboys are a good spot for him to land. I think the Cowboys would be thrilled with that. Again, I'm a Bears fan, so this one pains me to do, but one of my better prospects, a blue chip player for me, Jackson Powers Johnson. Let me explain. I think everyone wants the Packers to take a corner, and you might think Kool-Aid. Guys, Kool-Aid's a fucking bust. He sucks dick. Packers fans, you're going to thank me for this. You're not taking Kool-Aid. You're taking Jackson Powers Johnson, all right? He's going to play guard for you, but he is so fucking talented. He's so fucking good. He's 21 years old, my God. Lucky sons of bitches. And then obviously for me, in this version, have Laiatu Latu's injury stuff being a genuine concern. I do. So I'm going to go Jared Verse to the Bucs. I think if the board falls this way for the Cardinals, they've already addressed receiver at 4. We signed the Chicago Bears defensive tackle and another defensive tackle. One of those guys was to a 3-year, 30+ mil contract. So that's 3 years, 10 mil plus a year. They're not getting a D tackle. Plus the top 2 are off the board. Wide receiver, you already got one. Corners, I don't like Kool-Aid. Guards, okay, well, Jackson Powers Johnson and Graham Barton, they got stolen by teams that needed them. That can happen. So what do the Cardinals do? Let's go best available player. Let's say I don't have the injury concerns the other teams have. I'm going to take a gamble that Laiatu Latu was a top 10 talent. He just dropped me at 27. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm going to do it. I'm going to snatch it up. And then I think the Falcons actually get really lucky here. Really high upside, toolsy projection player in Chop Robinson. But you know what? Hell of a lot better than Kool-Aid. And the Lions get Kool-Aid McKinstry. Okay, so the Ravens now would draft the next best receiver. He's got some height to him. I think he is really good. I think he's worthy of being a first-round pick. And if he falls to the Ravens, I think they'd be crazy not to take him. Adonai Mitchell at 30 to the Ravens. I think that's a dream pick for Lamar Jackson. I got the Niners here. I think they would go with a projection guy at pick 31. I think they would stay at this pick. And you see, guys, I'm trying to think right now, but I'm just like, oh, shoot. Okay, so here on my earlier version, I had him go with, like, Tyler Guyton, someone who could project well. and who isn't ready really maybe to start right away, but who could develop. And that's kind of what Tyler Guyton is to me. I think he is a very raw prospect, but I think he's got the traits, tools, and I think he's just naturally born tall and buff, and he just looks like a monster. I don't know. But yeah, other than putting it in a funny way like that, I would say that this is a team that maybe considers like a TJ Tampa. If they're higher on TJ Tampa, maybe they go him here. Like, I could see that. I genuinely could. Or, again, we like the offensive guards better than the offensive tackle projection, but I think Guyton's a great pick. I think he can learn for a year or half a year, and I think he will develop into a good player for the Niners. I think he will be a good offensive lineman. And then I think if you're the Chiefs, it's pretty simple. You just go wide receiver no matter what here. And I don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. My initial reasoning for having them draft Xavier Worthy over Keon Coleman, because it's between these two, Keon Coleman and Xavier Worthy, for me personally, is Keon Coleman's he's got some bust potential. I think he's better than N'Keal Harry was, obviously, but he's definitely got some bust potential. Keon Coleman did excellent at the same drill that Puka Nacua did excellent at, which is running fast while catching, and it looks really natural. And then he ran a bad 40, and that's kind of what Puka Nacua did. He ran like a slower 40, but he was fast catching the ball in pads, like when it mattered. You know, when it matters, he's fast. He can run. I just think Coleman's someone who he tests poorly, and I think Worthy's someone who tests really well. And I don't know which the Chiefs would value, but Rashee Rice to me is more of a Keon Coleman type, and then you get Xavier Worthy to burn, and then Rashee Rice to work the Travis Kelce small to intermediate. Rashee Rice kind of does some route tree stuff, and then Xavier Worthy's your burner downfield. Like, to me, that makes more sense than Keon Coleman with Rashee Rice, where I feel like they have similar skill sets. And I think Worthy complements Rashee Rice a lot better. But I don't know if Rashee Rice is even going to be playing football, or if he's going to get arrested, or if he's in trouble. I don't know anything about that situation. So I'm just going to go with Xavier Worthy and show you guys the full results here. Compared to my phone picture that I took earlier while at work as well, you guys can compare it. I tried to stay as true to it as I could. I didn't want to differentiate too much or variate too much, just because I wanted to keep it in the same realm of thinking that I had when I really put a lot of time and effort into it. I didn't want to change anything just now because I'm on camera and it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm not confident Byron Murphy and Cooper DeJean are some of the first defensive players off the board. Well, you know what? I have them listed really high on my personal ranking, so I'm going to predict it too, because you never know how the NFL ranks these guys, and I find it best, say your honest opinion. If it's wrong, okay, at least you were honest. And if it's right, hell yeah, more power to you. But for me, this is actually my honest prediction of all 32 picks. I believe there will be, 8 trades, 9 trade spots or something? Like 4 teams trade. I wanted to do some crazy trades. I think we did. I think they were all realistic. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you thought of it down below. What would you guys do differently? What are your rankings for the positions? I know we're all different, and that's okay. I'm not mad if you guys have a different opinion, or if you disagree with some of the players, or if you think I did your team injustice, like the Lions. Yeah, I was a little mad at the Lions when I was making this video, so I get it. I'm sorry. I love you all, and it's nothing personal. It's just my honest prediction of how I think the first round will go. It's my honest ranking of the players, and I honestly, I wish them all the best of luck. I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so yes, Caleb Williams, a little more luck than the others, but it's all good. I have a more in-depth thing talking about Caleb Williams, how it relates to my life and my grandpa, who passed away recently, in a future video that I'm doing for the draft series story, where I made a deal with the Blood Demon and everything. That's a whole like other niche, just stupid comedy series I randomly thought of, and I did it before the season ended, and I actually predicted the Bears getting the number 1 overall pick correctly, so that was kind of funny, I thought. But either way, it doesn't matter. Please let me know what you guys thought of the mock draft, what you guys would do differently, and what your favorite team is, who you're hoping your team is going to draft, because, yeah, I had Ryan Pace as my GM for a lot of years. My main years as a football fan, I watched Ryan Pace drafting my team's players. Yes, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So, yeah. I love you guys. And anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.